Men should perhaps stop dating. Is this a thought looping in your mind? I have decided to stop dating for some time. If you want to know why and if you want to know how, please stay till the end of the video. I'm Sebastian, your addiction recovery coach, and I'm here to help you regain your focus and discipline. Why men need to be alone for a time in their life. I read somewhere that in India, men are not allowed to date women after, before a certain age in some parts of India. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true, but I think it's not a bad idea. I'm not saying that you should enforce this. I think it should come naturally. But you have to understand that if you are a man and you have been fed the lie of romantic comedy and you somewhat believe in true love and somewhat believe in true romance, you are not mistaken, but you have been misguided. And I have to start by saying I have nothing against women. Women are amazing. I have something against the mentality that as a man, your only goal in life, your number one priority should be to fall in love and to do everything in your power to make that woman happy. She will not be happy, you will not be happy because woman cannot be the number one priority in a man's life. This is true, and I think most women would agree with. Again, that is not a red pill plan. This is just reality. A man who cannot accept to be alone, I cannot accept not chase women, will always be at the mercy of needing that validation, of needing to be with women, or needing to have sex. When you can be alone, at least a time in your life, and when I mean alone, it's something you have decided to. It is something you have consciously chosen. You are not being alone because you despise. You are not alone because you cannot be with women. You cannot get women. You are alone by choice. Maybe you had some experience, but now is the time to put dating aside. And by virtue of being alone, it can lead to you finally unleashing that precious potential that comes with being alone and has that sexual this. If you have read Musashi, the great swordsman, the great samurai, he mentioned in his book that man should embrace that solitude. There's a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a negative thing. Solitude can be very empowering. Solitude is embracing your time alone and doing something that's solid, whether it's meditating, contemplating, strategizing, working out, doing something worthwhile with your time. And when you decide to put dating aside and decide to be alone, you can start business, or you can make, you can improve things in your life. The way Musashi did, the great samurai, was to perfect his craft relentlessly. He knew he needed to be alone. Now, I'm not telling you to be alone the way someone like Musashi did. What I'm telling you is that you should embrace that solitude and not be so fearful of being alone. Another example is Major Dick Winters. For those of you who have watched Band of Brothers, this amazing show, you know who I'm talking about. Major Richard Dick Winters. In his books, he mentioned that the soldiers, the soldiers that were under him, they had good but were less courageous, were more fearful. They had something to do. Whereas those men who were single were more brave, better, because they had. I'm not saying if you go to war. I'm not saying you should do things that are. All I'm saying is that you have a courage when you are alone. You have more bravery because you have someone else count. You don't have those feelings that you want to preserve. He also said, Major Dick Winters also said, that women have a time and place. And when he was at war, he decided to put women aside. And he was a very popular man. He had a woman that was waiting for him, his prospect, so to speak. And he said that women can wait. And I agree wholeheartedly because solitude leads to having more courage. Solitude leads to more greatness. And then again, it does not never get again. It doesn't mean that you will not get married. It doesn't mean that you will never be in a communication. But for one time in your life, you should choose to be able to embrace the solitude and do what you can. Answer the call to adventure. And the woman might come afterward, or they might not come. Does not matter. This is your choice. What is relevant here is that you have the courage to choose yourself, to choose greatness, to not be trapped in the line that you to be with a partner, that you to have a woman, that you cannot be whole without a woman. You don't need validation. You don't need sex all the time. You do not need to constantly reject. You need sexual discipline. You need more empowerment. You need to see what you're about. And a lot of times, you can know what you're really about, can be alone. What are the consequences? I've been with a bunch of serious relationship and such relationship. And I the lovey-dovey kind of boyfriend. And it does not bring any good. Does not bring her any good. Definitely does not bring you. You have to understand that solitude will not only help you let go of the need for validation from, not only lead you to have more sexual discipline, but it will also make you a better person to be with. So even if you are fearful of being alone, but you still want a relationship at the end of the road, you can be alone now and be a better person. Then you'll be able to find a person who fits you. You will not settle for the first woman that comes because a lot of people cannot be alone. Therefore, they choose they would want people just settle. Not good for her, it's not good. But when you're alone, here, in mind, whatever duration you choose, you are fearful of you embrace your time. You embrace your time with people, you embrace your time with women, but you also embrace yourself and you appreciate that solitude and understand sometimes it's required. And for all of those reasons, that is why I decided to put it aside. I decided to put it aside because I want to focus on myself. Because I have too long suffered from the validation. I too long suffered. I too long suffered from many years of what. Now that I'm not watching porn anymore for a few, now that I don't need the validation, or at least don't need it as much, and I don't need to reject it all the time. I don't look up with it. I can empower myself. I can, and yes, it can be fearful, but I encourage you to do so. For all the reasons I mentioned above. If you are not ready, slowly but surely put yourself in a situation where you can be alone. And if you have a girlfriend right now, if she's not the girlfriend for you, maybe it's time for you to break up. If he's the woman you really love, it does not, you cannot be alone. You have to make sure you can have your time alone. And if she's the right woman, she will understand and she will appreciate that time when you're alone. When you are alone with your thoughts, when you're alone with yourself, contemplate, journal, strategize. whatever the case might be. Men need time alone. Men need brotherhood. Men might need time. Men also need to build, because that's when you can find out who you are. Be your authentic self. Or at least try that. There is virtue in just trying who you truly. Thank you so much for this. I'm Sebastian, the addiction recovery coach. I'm here to help those of you who want to sexualize their mind, give up porn, and other compulsions. Thank you so much for listening. Links in the description box below, and I'm sure I can help you guys.